Well, hello, and welcome once again to A Goodman's Tale. My name is Joshua Goodman, and A Goodman's Tale is a place where we get together, we talk about the nitty, the gritty, life's ups, downs, good, bad, the ugly, and basically just tell our story. With that being said, if you enjoy these episodes, we ask, please, if you would, to like, share, and to subscribe also, and also tell your friends about it. All right, that being said, let's get to it. All right, today our guest is Miss Judy Howard. Thank you so much, Miss Judy, for being here with us. Let's jump into, well, actually, before we jump into your story, let's, you're Asian, and we'll get into that a little bit. Yes, right? I'm curious, as our kind of icebreaker, what is the weirdest food you've ever eaten? According to American standards. I mean,
yeah,
maybe.
according to, well, I've been in a lot of places, Myanmar, Hong Kong, Thailand, and Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I think the weirdest so far is Myanmar because they have all the spices and so we have this noodles you call pancit. And their pancit was like all the meat that you can bring in the table, like
whatever
sausage, whatever they have available. And for me, it was just the weirdest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came to Europe, all these sausages, like I was in Germany and it's just
everything sausage.
Yeah, how can you? What's the difference between all of this? Yeah. Like it was just
from an American standpoint. That's so interesting that it would be from an Asian standpoint, right? It would be sausage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some of the things you guys, well, okay, so not in the Philippines, but when I was in China, I ate dog. And that was probably the weirdest thing I've ever.
I'm not the only one.
Yeah, no, and I didn't care for it. It had a very strong taste. Didn't like it.
Yeah.
Even with all the soy sauce, and it didn't work. So yeah, it's
in my country that's common food.
Really, it is. It's yeah. Well, and where
so
we
it's
were,
not even weird to me.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Sorry.
It's one of those things where, so from an Asian perspective, to eat sausages would be weird, and then from an American perspective. To eat dog, or I know in the Philippines you do the like the fermented quail eggs, and things like that.
Yes.
So it's
and the balut.
And the balut,
that's the duck egg.
Yeah, that's
with
partially
the
fertilized
inside.
That which is so from an
for
American,
us it's not weird.
No, but for us in the United States it's like whoa. And if you could eat one food for the rest of your life, one, obviously, so like from an American perspective, I've had people say they would eat pizza, burgers, steak, but I'm interested as a Filipino, as an Asian, I won't even exclude rice. You can say
I know, I was gonna say, you mean aside from rice? I'm not really picky when it comes to food, so whatever, but I think the longest I have gone without rice was probably 2 or 3 months when I was pregnant.
Wow.
Because I was, all Filipinos are borderline diabetic.
Yes, well,
because of the rice.
Yeah, you're eating rice. Yeah.
So I wasn't allowed to. But
in the diversity of rice. So being raised in Haiti, we ate rice literally every day. And there's just so much you can do with rice. And I'm not talking, if I had to eat white rice for the rest of my life, I probably wouldn't choose it. But if I could choose between the variety of rice and beans, beans and rice, rice with bean sauce, fried rice, I mean, there's...
See, that's weird for us too, because we eat plain rice.
Yeah, white rice.
Unless you only put like your soup or your main dish on it. It's only here in America that I was like, why you put salt and pepper in your rice? Why do you have... Because for us, it's like the bread.
Yeah, it
has
plain.
to be plain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and it's interesting because I know one of the places you traveled was Italy. In Italy, they don't do pasta like we do pasta. It is it's completely its own course, and so it's just the difference kind of in
dishes,
and I even like you guys who know Miss Gwen, she cooks for us and she makes what I call Southern spaghetti, which is basically ground beef, tomato sauce, all mixed together and served just like that. Whereas in Italy, you wouldn't find pasta done that way. Let's jump in and talk about your story, because what a great And coming to think about it, how I should have had you on so much earlier than this, because what a great story you have. Before we jump into you moving from the Philippines to the United States, tell us about some of the places you've traveled in your adventures, because you've been literally all over the world.
Basically, I have been working back home in the Philippines for most of my life. Like, I went to college, but I have work 8 to 5, go to the university from 6 to 9, and still work after that. So, I don't believe that God has me stationed in one place. Yeah. So there was a point in my life where, God, would you please send me overseas to work? Yeah. So I was really praying about it. I was applying, and then an offer from a Qatar company called me, and then I negotiated the offer and things work. And so when I worked there in 2009,
that was Qatar.
This is Qatar now. Yeah, so I went there in Qatar. It's my first time in the Middle East because I've been for missions during my college days. I have been in Myanmar and in Korea, South Korea. We would spend 2 weeks for missions purposes, and we're raising funds for that. And then so Qatar, we are allowed to go for a month's vacation, to go to our home country, paid vacation, and they also paid the tickets.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, God, why would I want to go back home, which I have seen for 30 plus years of my life? Yeah. I said, so I started praying to go to Germany because my sister at that time, who was married to a U.S. citizen, then was stationed in Germany, Ramstein. Yep. Kaiserslautern. So I was praying for that, and it was funny because when I went to the German embassy, I have all my papers. So I gave my bank statement. I took the money out and sent it back home before I requested for a bank statement. So I don't have money, and they're like, I was speaking in tongues. I was praying, whatever. God, this is if this is you. It's gonna happen.
Let me stop you there and explain too. So, we oftentimes as Americans, we don't understand what that's like because we apply for a visa.
You don't need to apply for a visa. You can be there for 6 months.
But many individuals who are from other countries, they have to pay visa fees. They have to show bank statements. They have to have letters of recommendation. All of these things in order to travel to a lot of places. And that was what you're going through at this time.
And also, from the companies in the Middle East, you're only allowed to go back home from your origin country. You're not allowed to go anywhere. That's a big deal. And first time in my company that I am asking to go for a month's vacation in Europe. And they were like, you might not go back. You might go and just
run
stay
away,
there, run away. There's more money. And I have relatives in Europe. I have relatives in Brussels, Belgium at that time, and my sister in Germany. So I was really praying hard about it. And then the consul was telling me, well, see, you don't have money in your bank account. How can you sustain, going for this vacation? So I explained to her that it's a paid vacation. The company's going to pay for the trip. And they know that because it was, I'm not sure right now, but in 2009, 2010, it was the norm.
For those things.
For those things, So I was praying in tongues. The consul told me, I'm gonna come back. Let me talk to my supervisor, whatever. So I was praying, like I think it took me forever to pray. And then finally she said, okay, make sure you come back. So she gave me a multiple entry Schengen visa. So that's how I was able to travel in Germany, Paris, Belgium, Netherlands.
So when you went for that month vacation, you toured Europe.
Yes, basically under God's grace. Because I would stay with friends and family. I really don't have to pay much in hotel, except when I was in Netherlands. But I stayed in a backpacking area. Something.
What a great opportunity! I mean, that's what a lot of people try to do right after before they go to college or to backpack around Europe. And here you are being paid to do it.
It's grace. It's God's grace, God's provision all the way. And it happened the following year too. I was not gonna go back there, but my friends were like, well, can you come with us because you've been there? And this time we went Germany, Munich, Switzerland, Italy, Florence in Italy, Pisa, Venice, and Rome. Yeah. So, and again, Paris, and then Spain. This time, Spain, Barcelona, and Madrid. Yeah. But again, it is just God's provision.
And were you taking the train? Was that,
yes, wow, we were.
That's cool.
So it is all God's provision. Yeah. And then until the time that in 2012, my dad got really sick, so bad. He had been in the hospital. He had heart failure. Okay. When I was finishing my university days, and the doctor said, he cannot live. Probably he's only got like a year or two. This is in 2005. Okay. And now it's 2012. He has lived 7 years after that. Yeah. And it's really not looking good. So I went back home for that 1 month vacation to just see.
So you were still working in Qatar?
Yes, at that time. I was still working in Qatar at that time. And right now I'm transitioning to how God, called me in the U.S. and everything. So I visited him, spent time with him, took him to the hospital and everything. It was the time too that my sister and I prayed about them petitioning my parents to the U.S. Yeah. Because at the time she was a citizen then. So I spent time with him, and I went back to Qatar, and I just felt lead to. So I work as a marketing executive in Qatar. I just felt the need to leave my job. Yeah. Now, when I started, I was the coordinator, and this one immemorial of God while I was in Qatar, and I was attending, underground churches. Yeah. Because at that time it's not open. Yeah. We have to soundproof the villa, and so my career was actually going up. Yeah. 6 months into my job, I was praying for 100% increase, and my friends at the church were like, well, you don't really get 100% increase because sometimes they just give you 10, 20. But because of my performance for the company where I helped increase the sales, I was basically doing an operations manager job. Yeah. Pricing things, doing marketing and stuff like that. And 6 months into my job, they increased my salary. So it was going up, And then, so that year in 2012, after I visited my dad in July.
So you lived in Qatar 3 years?
For 3 years, yes. 2009 to 2012. Okay. So after that month, I basically just came back to Qatar to file my resignation. Wow. And then I told them that my dad is sick. Yeah. And, people were making a lot of crazy things because as a single person, they were like, you might be pregnant, you cannot come back because things happens like that. And if you're pregnant, you go to jail. You don't,
If you're unwed,
If you're unwed. Yeah. So they made all this tests, everything, just to, I'm like, I'm leaving because my father is sick, not because of anything else. Yeah. So they finally let me go, and then I was able to spend time with my dad. So September 2012, I was back home. Yeah. And I was praying and looking for a job to sustain me while I was there. And again, God's favor, my brother's friend is looking for somebody to help her set up a restaurant from scratch, like paperwork, everything, filing and
buying,
management, and training the staff. So I said, I'm available. Let's do it. And it was like a couple of hours, an hour away from where my dad's island is. We have 7,000 islands, and my husband laughs at me because I don't know how to swim.
And you got 7,000 islands.
Yeah, I know, but I'm surrounded with water. But anyway, so my dad, I was able to spend time with him more and visit him more, at least once a week, because I would go and visit him. It's like 2 hours ride
On a boat.
On a boat.
Yeah, because you're going to a different island. Yeah.
Yes. So I was doing that. And in the process of that, so this is November 2012.
Yeah.
And February 2013, he passed away.
Mm.
So it was just that few moments. And the reason also I left Qatar at that point is when you're in the Middle East and you're employed and you have emergencies like death or something, they don't let you go right away.
Yeah.
You have to file papers, you have to present death certificate and
all
everything
that. Yeah.
before, because they give you a permit to go.
Yeah.
Things like that. It's just their culture. It's
So
just
you
how they are.
had 4 or 5 months with your dad.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So
what a testimony that is.
It is.
Having lost
it
my
is.
dad 4 years ago now. He moved back to the States probably a year before he passed, but to have that
time, yes, it's very important.
It's precious.
Because one of the testimony of my life too is at the beginning, at the onset of teenage years, I didn't have a good relationship with my dad.
Yeah.
I think the most rebellious thing I did was I had a beer bottle and I smashed it his face there in the wall where his face is. I think that was the most rebellious thing I did. But after I became a Christian and I have Jesus in my heart and somebody just discipled me one-on-one, I finally forgive him for the things that he did or the things that I thought he did because he was gone for probably 10 years of my life growing up because he worked abroad. It's very hard in our country. It's very hard to find jobs.
Yeah, good work.
It's very hard to get paid, and he has 5 kids.
Yeah.
I'm the eldest. So he was not there when a young sibling of mine passed. She was 3-4 years old. We were suspecting that she had cancer, like mumps, and went bad and became cancerous. And then my dad was not there. He was working in Libya.
Wow.
So the bitterness, the hateful, just it's just really in my heart, and I hate him that much. But because of God's forgiveness, how can I not forgive? And from then on, our relationship just it went better.
Flourished.
It flourished 2000 onwards, until that time that he was passing. He was reading the Bible at the last time that he was passing. So I believe that God, he has God in his heart, and he's safe. Because there was a point too in my life when I was in middle school and attending a Christian church. It's a Foursquare Calvary Church in Manila. They were attending with me because I was attending Sunday school. I was like, I need to go to Sunday school. So whenever he's in the Philippines for a vacation or a month or two, we would spend it Sunday going to church and then just family Sunday. So that was I actually wrote that even if it's expected loss, that he's passing, and you understand this, because you were in the same position 4 years ago, but you still lost it. You still lost them. Your heart is still empty.
You even if you expect it, it's you're still empty. It doesn't change the emptiness.
And I need you to imagine that I'm the eldest. I was in my early 30s when he passed, or late 30s, whatever, middle 30s, however you call it. And all my siblings, all my 4 siblings have families and kids.
Yes.
I'm the only one who doesn't. So I'm like, it's sad because he wouldn't be able to walk me in the aisle or play with my kids. So I was really sad. But the night before his passing, God just, I didn't know it was happening, but God told me, watch a movie, relax yourself. And we had a conversation before me going to the movies. He was checking on me on the phone, and he was asking me how I am and what's gonna happen when he passed. And I told him, like, Dad, don't worry about me. God got me. He will take care of me. And I think God just calmed me down that night. I watched a movie, went to bed, and then my brother called me at around 2-3 a.m. in the morning and told me that he passed. And I was just praying. I was just like, God, give me the grace. So when he passed in February 2013, I left my job because after he passed, I just keep crying. You know, well, people say that I'm his favorite.
Well,
I am
I'm not
Papa's
gonna
girl.
brag, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna brag. But yeah, so I'm Papa's girl. He's been really, really good, you know, and it's really sad, but you know, I was like, God got me. So I mourned for like 3 months after that. I left my job, stayed at my brother's house for a couple of months, just doing nothing, staying in the room, just crying and crying. And then a month after, I went to visit my sister in the other island near Manila. And I just, you know, being by myself, just, and then a friend of mine asked me if, you know, I want to help her plant a church and disciple women, you know, preach on Sundays, things like that. Because I forgot to mention that I had a 1 year of Bible school.
Yeah.
And I was close to becoming a pastor at the time, but I want to go pursue my university degree because God told me that's another testament. But anyway, that's another story. So I said I was gonna help because I felt like I think I told her at the time I'm gonna pray about it. But you know, when we're called to preach the word, in or out of season, we do it.
We do it, yeah.
So that's what I did. And a friend of mine from the US came, visit me, and we had a talk. And she said, "You need a change of environment."
Yeah.
And then we start praying for me to go to the US. I'm like, how can I go? This is July of 2013. 2013. So
now, had your mom moved to the States yet?
No.
Okay.
But my mom got the approval for the visa.
Okay.
So when we were praying for the US, me and my friend, I said, my mom has approval for the visa. I need to go before she goes to the US.
Yeah.
Because if my mom's gonna be here, my sister is here, and I'm single, that's not possible for me to get approval because usually they don't.
Yeah, they won't do it.
If you're single, you don't have a reason to come back. Deny. So we were praying, and God gave me a go in August of 2013.
Yeah.
And He said, "Go." And I'm like, "Okay, God, I don't have money to go because
don't have a job.
I don't have a job. I don't have anything." And so we prayed, and a pastor told me, "Why don't you look for a conference and see if they will, you know, reply to you, attend the conference. That's your main reason aside from visiting your sister." So we're in the process of looking for a conference. I'm in the process of also, as soon as I got the go from the Lord, I'm in the process of preparing all my paperwork.
Yeah.
And then my friend helped me to get my visa. She sent me, I think it was 120, 130 or 50 at the time. But that's a blessing too.
Sure.
You know?
And again, it's so
not
interesting
an easy money.
because it is the challenges that a lot of times we as Americans don't understand is, man, the stacks of paperwork, the trips to the consulate and the embassy and the, you know, trying to book the meetings. It's like, oh my goodness sake. Yeah. Just, wow.
So when I had to go and I told God, I need to leave before October because my mom is planning to leave in December.
Yeah.
So it has to be before December. So we were praying about it, and my pastor said, so finally I got an okay with the conference. It's the Come to the Fire conference in Michigan. And the president herself wrote me the response.
Very cool.
Miss Alita Hentorn.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, Pastor, I gotta go. And Pastor said, ask them for snail mail.
Yeah.
Like, you need the hard paper copy of their invitation.
Everything. Yes.
So I'm like, okay, let me ask them. And you know what? I told her I needed this before October because the conference actually is in October 14.
Yeah.
You know what? They sent me a snail mail worth $40. I still have the envelope,
the envelope, yeah.
to prove it. Like, who would spend that money to a person who doesn't?
Yep.
They don't
even
know.
That's
like,
amazing.
They don't even know if they're. I'm just using their conference to whatever,
Yeah.
you know. But again, it is God's favor. So after that's done, so this is now the real test if this is really God. Going to the embassy. Because
don't I know?
I told God, I don't have a bank statement, Lord. What do you want me to do? So he said, go. So I did.
I don't have $1,000 sitting in my bank account.
No, because a month before that, a friend of mine who's got money in the bank, thousands of dollars, and his family and the kids were trying to apply for a U.S. visa just to visit. Got denied.
Yep.
Okay.
I know. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm crunched for time. And I'm like, I need to go to Manila to pay the visa and schedule the appointment. And it's now almost September. I need to leave in October. You don't usually get an appointment in days time. You get the visa schedule like 2-3 months. But like, well, I don't know. But it was the time that the U.S. was shut down for the first time in October of 2013. So that time that I was seeking for an appointment, they were just opening up. So that weekend, I think I've paid my visa Wednesday or Thursday that weekend. And I'm like, God, come on. Let me get an appointment the next week so I don't have to go back home, which is 5 hours away. And I spend that money again.
And have to go back and forth and back and forth.
So I just stayed with my friends. And when I get the appointment, I think it was a Monday or a Tuesday. So I'm like, okay, God, we'll see really if this is you. And then I went to the embassy. Now it's time for the interview. Fingerprint, initial consul interview was, they asked me, why you don't have a monthly salary? I said, I don't have an income. I only help. I'm a youth worker, a missionary, and only helping a church. They only give me love gift. Like if I preach on Sundays or things like that, you know.
And telling that to the embassy honestly, God,
I'm just being honest.
But they deny that.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't have the income, if you don't
have money, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
You're living and, you know. So that's the initial interview. And then he just, checked the paper. And now the final interview with the consul was, so she's checking all my paper. And I know that the guy before me got denied. I'm like, okay, Lord, if this is you, this is you. It's not, I'm like, and I was like, it's not going to be my name. It's going to be your name. Yeah. But then, God is faithful. So I went, showed her the papers, and she was browsing through it. And this question forever stuck in my mind. She asked me, how are you going to raise funds for the trip? And I felt like, just give me the wisdom to answer. And I said, I'm not allowed to raise funds until I have my visa. Really?
Yes.
So I'm like, and it's
and
true.
That's true. That is,
it's a church policy. We're not allowed to raise any funds until we get
because
the visa
is the guarantee that you're going to be able to go.
Yes.
And if you get denied, then you've raised those funds on.
You know how Americans are, like they don't show their expressions. So she was just typing, blah, 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 whatever. And she turned to me and said, without smile, and said, you're going to get your visa in 2 weeks in the mail. And again, I'm like, okay, God, here we go. This is you. And to make the long story short, on my trip here, there's still a hurdle because if you're Asian, if you're coming from the Philippines, well, the southern part are mostly terrorists.
Well, there is. There's a lot of terror organizations.
But yes, so I read this article where they had this mother of a citizen. They held her for 6 hours.
Wow.
I'm like, God. Okay, so I'm still praying. So when I left Manila, there was actually a mom who's by herself and with 2 kids. And I think it's her first time to travel. Not locally, but internationally. So I told her, you can, get on the... Because before it used to be there's no ABC. Used to be we have kids, older,
Yep.
and then the young people that like that.
Yep.
So I told her that when you have kids, you always go first in the line.
Yep.
So I just help her with her bag to go in the line, and then and then my point of entry is San Francisco.
Okay.
And that's one thing too. You have to pray about where you're gonna
Go into.
because there are airports that are just so strict. Like if they see your visa, you're visiting, blah blah blah, whatever.
And mean, like
Yes, very
JFK
mean.
in Newark. I'm like some of the most difficult immigration and customs officials.
You can't imagine. And just when I went to the immigration line, so they have the line for visit only visa, and I can already see in the office that there are people held there, and there's a long line. And this other line is an immigrant line. So I went to my visit line. I was still helping the mom with 2 kids. I got her other bag, and I told her other purse, and I told her I'm gonna meet her at when we're done inside the airport. So the kid was crying. So I was in my line and I was worried, but why is the kid crying? Maybe she needs something in her purse. So I went in the line. I told the guard that I'm just gonna go there and check with this mom because I have her other purse and see what's wrong with her. And the guy was like, the guard in the immigration line was like, you can stay there.
Wow.
So I was not on the visa line.
Yeah.
I was in the immigrant line.
Yeah.
So people are more courteous.
Yes.
People are more kind.
Yeah.
And the guy interviewing me was like, how long are you? Because look, we applied for a visa. You don't know how long you're going to stay.
Yeah.
They will stamp how long you're going to stay.
Yeah.
Is it 1 month? Even
2
if
months,
you
3
ask
months.
for the maximum is 6 months for us. So even if you ask for 6 months,
you may not get 6 months.
yeah, if they say 1 month or 1 week, you're done.
That's it.
So I was really praying, and then I was helping the mom, and then she was able to get through, and it was my turn. And the guy was like, so how are you going to support yourself? I said, I have my sister, and I'm continuously raising funds from the church. They're helping me out. And then he was like, so are you a youth worker? Yes. You have a lot of youth. He was very, very kind. And he was like, so how long do you need to stay? And I told him that I have a return trip ticket in 6 months. So I told him that. And he stopped
6
my
months.
visa 6 months.
6 months. Wow.
Which is like, that's unexpected.
No, yeah.
It's still God.
Yep.
And so I went to the conference in Michigan. I flew from San Francisco to Grand Rapids Airport. And I stayed from October 14 to 19 for the conference.
Okay.
And luckily, my friend from Ohio was also attending that conference. So I was able to stay with them in the hotel. So, I was still at this point in my life, I still don't know what's happening. Like, I still don't know where am I going. I'm just, okay, God, you want me here. This is what I'm doing. So until I think so my sister lives here in North Carolina. So I came here. So after being in Michigan, I actually went to Ohio, stay with a friend, went to Colorado first, stay with another friend. I spent my first Thanksgiving with snow in Colorado. 16 feet.
And your mom was still planning on coming in that December.
Yes. So after that, then I went to visit my sister here in North Carolina.
Now, I want to stop you there.
Yes.
Because my episodes are normally about 30 minutes. And I know we're pushing the limit on 30 minutes.
Yes.
But what I want to do is in our next episode, so we've talked about your travels and what brought you to the States. In our next episode, I want to discuss the rest of the story, which is just such a testimony. But let's do that. We'll do a part 2 to the Judy Howard edition of this. Guys, listen, thank you, Judy, for being here.
Yes.
Also in expectation.
My pleasure.
For the next time. Guys, as always, if you enjoy these interviews, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm Pastor Josh. This is A Goodman's Tale, and so go out there and live life with all you've got.
Thank you.